What's up, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of Bay Area Boys Podcast. Back with my friend, my cohort, dare I say business partner in a sense? Cohort?
I feel like I've loosely heard that. I never really understood the term.
It's like it's a friend.
Okay.
It's a friend.
I don't know if we're there yet.
That's why I said cohort, right? We're more like an acquaintance, I guess.
Yeah. Business. Yeah. I mean, this is a business, right?
I hope.
Yeah. I mean, our goal is to solely get more business from this.
Yeah.
And potentially make money. You know.
That's the
sponsorships.
Goal, right?
You know. So yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna be the Joe Rogan experience of real estate.
I feel like there's probably so many real estate agents that have said that.
Oh, that
and
was
then
the
they
joke.
recorded 2 episodes. They're on episode 2.
Well, so are we.
And they haven't put out episode 1 yet.
Oh, you mean us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool though. That girl that was like, "Where's your guys' podcast on?"
Yeah, it was awesome.
I know we gotta make it happen. But I was gonna say, like, you're gonna do all the distribution for, like, Spotify and Apple and all that.
Have I been doing all the distribution for everything else thus far?
You've been killing it on Instagram and TikTok.
Come on, man.
Our TikTok's not doing much. I don't know what the hell's going on.
It is.
It's great.
It is. Here's the thing. It is in the sense that we have 10 followers.
Yeah.
And it's still getting pushed.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we just.
Who are our followers on TikTok?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably like Titans of the industry.
Titans.
Yeah.
All right. So
let's kick us off, dude.
you going to our first topic?
Get us started. Let's get into it.
So North Berkeley, BART, is looking to add about 750 homes to their, dare I say, portfolio.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of controversy around this, though.
Why?
I think it's always the issue, which is kind of the older demographic. I'm not going to say boomers. I'm not going to say Gen X.
But you want to.
I want to. I mean, because let's be real, right?
Yeah.
It's not, no millennials are over here, you know, in an uproar about more housing that we desperately need. So basically they're just worried, you know, these homeowners who, you know, bought their homes for probably $250,000 in Berkeley are worried about, you know, these high rises coming up. They've basically said that they are promising, you know, that it's not going to go over 8 stories. So most likely it'll probably be like 7 stories or something. There'll probably be some things in there that they really try to limit. But yeah, I think that's just really the only controversy. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, at least they're not saying we don't want any housing, you know, coming up here. But
where are they making this housing? Is it going to be near BART?
It's basically like, have you ever been to Pleasant Hill, BART?
Of course.
So, you know, there's like all that. It's basically like that.
Okay.
It's like not, you don't want to call it like BART housing, but it's just that really easy access.
Yeah, it's commuter housing, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, is it going to be specifically towards BART employees, or is it just it's for anybody?
Oh, it's for everybody.
Okay.
So, but the development company, their goal, right, from the jump is for 60% of it to be affordable housing.
Okay.
Which is, I mean, that's pretty big.
Have they put a number on what that affordable housing is?
Half of the units in the project are going to be affordable housing. What the affordable housing is 60% of the median area income. So 60% of that's what affordable housing will be. Yeah,
I think we need more affordable housing in not only California, but in the Bay Area in general. So I really think that it is a positive thing.
Yeah.
But I can see why a lot of people would have problems about it. You know, it's the same thing when Section 8 rental buildings come into cities. People who have been there for a long time get in a big uproar about it, and they can cause some trouble for those people who need that type of housing. And we've been dealing with this for as long as I can remember and been hearing about it. It's always been, even when I was young and was trying to find places to live in the Bay Area off of a, you know, waiter's salary, I was looking into Section 8 housing, and it was almost impossible.
Yeah.
Almost impossible to find.
So Berkeley, I feel like especially, has been like probably one of the more limited cities in housing in general. So if you can imagine that, then affordable housing has just been crazy. So, I mean, to me, it's really cool because with developments like this, you definitely don't see half of those units being affordable. It's usually they just do the bare minimum of what they have to adhere to. I don't know what that is, probably 10% or 15% or something like that. But the breakdown of this project is it'll include 310 resident parking spaces, 120 BART rider spaces, and approximately 4,300 square feet of public serving ground floor uses. More than 60,000 square feet of public open space is also planned, enhancing the community's access to green areas. So, I mean, it's a pretty, like, for that area, it'd be a pretty cool place to live.
Well, and especially kind of coinciding to what we talked about on our last episode of making BART more pleasant and more accessible. I think things like this, especially if they're doing green areas around, they're upping the level of enjoyment around a BART station or just around something that has kind of been neglected over the last little while too.
Yeah.
I think them putting more money into that to boost it up is really going to help the overall optics of everything and just make everything just more enjoyable and have people feel more safe to go on the trains, to just hang out in the areas. And that helps with businesses in that area too, right? I mean, the whole commerce and economy based around these public transportation modes, if we can up our game in that, I think it's going to spread out. It's going to have that ripple effect to everywhere else around it.
That's true. That's a really good point, dude. That's going to be a great clip that you just spit out there. Probably the best clip of this topic. So,
I mean, I kind of know I kind of have good ideas.
Yeah. No, but you're exactly right, because in the Bay Area, East Bay specifically, we are not walkable at all. So if you can start putting those kind of around the BART areas and making them a lot nicer, it's huge. It's a huge opportunity.
Well, and if you look at other major cities across the world, they put a lot of money into public transportation, a lot of areas which are even free, to be honest. And so I think obviously America runs very different than a lot of other places in the world. We are very money driven.
We run on Duncan.
We run on Duncan. So that's fine, right? But then if that's going to be the case, we have to do the things that are going to make things. What's so what?
I just think that was fucking great.
I'm glad you enjoyed your own jokes so much, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're a little bit late to the party in terms of prioritizing our commutability and our transportation and all that. But just like we covered last week, 5.1 billion.
Yeah, and
was it trillion or billion, John? No, I'm just playing.
And this is something completely separate than that, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Okay, I mean, so I think those two things coinciding together, if we can actually pull it off, I think is going to be a boon for everybody, citizens, the city itself, connecting cities, BART stations. I mean, it's really going to up the desirability of the areas and just having people.
I mean, dude, if I'm a resident there, I think that's awesome. I mean, they're obviously going to bring probably some type of restaurants and like there's going to be, mixed use, right? As it said. So, I mean, the BART's going to be better. Like, it's just, like.
Yeah, the synergy of everything there is going to be better, especially when one of the main things you want to find for a restaurant is walkability and foot traffic.
Yeah.
And if you're going to have a central hub somewhere with housing, with public transportation that a lot of commuters are going to use, having even just like a cafe. Yeah. I mean, a sit down, even a fast casual restaurant, something like that is going to be a huge opportunity for business owners to come in there.
Yeah. So another thing I really can't stand though is whenever people almost kind of discriminate on the affordable housing thing and they kind of say, oh, well, we don't really want those type of people. And it's like 60% of the median area income, like that could be $80,000 to $100,000 a year.
Right.
So it's like you're probably literally discriminating. Even if it was 60,000, even if it was 50,000, you're literally discriminating against those people just because they don't make as much money. Like they're less of people.
Yeah, and that's the stigma that comes along with Section 8 or low income. Mm-hmm. It's those types of, it's that verbiage that really can be dangerous.
Yeah.
And can spur very discriminatory thoughts and feelings and acts. And I think that is a systemic problem that obviously gets a lot deeper, but something that we can start. I think it starts with the education, just like with anything, right? I think education, which is actually a pretty good segue moving forward here in a little bit, but education on things like this can really help people understand what everybody else is dealing with, right?
Yeah.
A little bit of empathy goes a really long way.
Yeah.
And that's great that you bought your house for $200,000 30 years ago and you've retired and you can pull money out of your walls for the rest of your life. That's awesome. But it's difficult to then think people who make $100,000 in the Bay Area are scraping by.
Yeah.
That's wild to think about. My dad, he worked at a pool as a lifeguard, put himself through Berkeley with that pay.
Savage.
Right? That's what he did. That's what he did to get by. And so, you know, a lot of people who grew up with that sort of opportunity kind of have a skewed view about what people today are having to do and what they're having to go through in order to not only make ends meet, but like thrive, even just a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think opportunities like this are going to go a really long way to helping people get a stable footing, have a foundation that they're able to actually build something off of.
Yeah. 100% agree. So we're a little heavy on Berkeley today because we're going to the next controversial topic, which is Berkeley's license plate reader program.
Yep.
What do you think?
Well, so here in the Bay Area, one of the things they've been doing is, I think the first time I saw these sort of in the public space for me was on the freeways, the fast track. Lanes, right? Where now you have to pay X amount of dollars to just go on the freeway from exit to exit, and they will read your, I think it's your license plate, isn't it?
So that's the thing. And I think that's where the controversy comes from this is, you know, a lot of people just don't trust things in general, especially things like law enforcement and things like governments and so on. But what they're more concerned about is essentially what they're, you know, the city of Berkeley is saying is that they're not going to store this data for longer than 30 days. And people are pretty concerned of like, okay, how much can we trust that? And they're also saying the only thing it does is read license plates. And it's the same thing. How much trust can we have in that? But yeah, I mean, I don't, you know, it's one of those tough topics where really they are doing it. The city of Berkeley is saying they're doing it because they need help. And there's not enough. Now, I will say one thing. Mm-hmm. Now, if it only does read license plates, I don't see it cutting, you know, or stopping kind of the car break-ins. If there is something that could be done that's a little bit better for the car break-ins, I could be for it.
Like? Do you have an example? RoboCop.
Yeah. No, I mean, in the sense of if these cameras, if there is some type of way for them to get somebody there quicker, if somebody's monitoring those cameras, but that's not what it's for. So I'm a little confused on that sense because I've read a little bit of both.
Yeah, I think the license plates, I think, would go towards, because it's not really prevention, right?
Yeah.
It's after the thing has already happened.
Yeah.
So would it be just finding stolen cars, people who take and steal cars? But as far as break-ins, that doesn't prevent anything. Mm-hmm. You'd have to have other surveillance, and that's where
RoboCops come in.
That's where. What if we just went precog, dude? Went straight up Minority Report.
Straight.
Yeah, and then we could just know when crimes are going to happen before they even happen and stop them.
That's predictive algorithm. Like, dude, that'd be wild.
You know what's crazy to think about is if we were to data mine, right? Let's that's one of the biggest worries that people have with this type of technology.
Yeah.
Is data mining.
Yeah.
We aren't that far off from that, from being like, well, the mass amount of data shows that if you are in this area, you have an 89 percentile to commit some crime. So we're just going to arrest you before that happens. And then there's no crime.
Yeah.
Which is such a crazy thing to think about. But that's where things are going. I mean, AI is already doing that kind of stuff with marketing and anything. I mean, it puts things in front of you that they're like, well, you looked at dogs last week, so you probably want this dog collar, which is nice because you live in this town. And so the median, income for this town is this. So you probably like some nicer stuff. So here's kind of like a posh dog collar for the dog that you probably own. And it's crazy how accurate these things can be too.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's get into some of the facts of the automatic license plate reader technology. So ALPRs capture images of license plates and cross-reference them with law enforcement crime databases. So the goal is to alert police when plates match descriptions of vehicles involved in active crimes or missing person reports.
Right. Yeah. After the crime has happened, it's a tracker basically.
Yeah. So the Berkeley officials, they're arguing that the city's police force is understaffed. They need the help, like I just said, right? They need additional tools to combat increasing violent property crimes, auto thefts, traffic violations. So that's where I'm saying I'm a little like, what is it? Really, is it only cross-referencing and then trying to do the thing, or is it trying to, So I think what they're going to do is it's almost like a trial period, and they're going to see, and then they're going to, collect the data and say, okay, how effective is this, and then kind of go from there.
Yeah, and I'd also be curious to see where and what neighborhoods they're putting these in, because that's the other thing that comes down to, right, is one of the big problems that we're having across the country, but in the Bay Area as well, and it has been going on for a long time, is the over-policing of certain neighborhoods. And yeah, when you have more police activity in a neighborhood, there's going to be more crime reported because, you know what I mean? Like you're putting a magnifying glass on it, and you're almost pigeonholing these neighborhoods into quote unquote doing more crime.
Yeah.
Because you're watching them. You know what I mean? Like, and I have to imagine, I did see some reports that a lot of activists or people who are heads of these communities are like, hey, this is compounding the problem, and we don't want it and we don't like it.
Yeah.
And so that's where that double-edged sword comes in of, sure, if we can use it just as a shield of justice, that's one thing, but it's really hard to do that when you only put them in certain communities.
And I'm going to be honest, that is probably one of the topics that has definitely been brought up, because you're exactly right. They're going to put them in these communities where they see this higher crime rates, right? So it's a very tough and touchy subject, because anytime you say exactly what you just said, then there's going to be the other side of people that say, well, if they weren't doing anything wrong, then they wouldn't be there.
Right.
So it's almost like a never-ending battle.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I used the word systemic earlier, and we don't want to get into that whole conversation, but it's trying to do the right thing with the right people. But the problem is a lot of wrong people try to do the right thing to the wrong people. Mm-hmm. And it's tough. It's tough to do. You're really trying to find this little needle in a haystack of doing the quote unquote right thing.
Yeah.
And while the theory of it of, yes, you want more surveillance so that people who commit these crimes can be found and brought to justice and cars can be returned. I mean, it's tough. I had my car broken into 2 years ago, and all the stuff was taken out of my car. Now, luckily, the people who stole my stuff got in a car accident themselves, and everything was recovered. So crazy instant karma story.
Yeah.
But, if that could have gone towards helping me recover whatever it is, because their car pulled up to mine, broken, and then they left. So they would have had their license. If that can be the case to help people recover their stolen items, that's a positive.
Yeah. So Berkeley City Council approved this pilot project to a 6-1 vote. 52 cameras will be installed. The areas that they're going to be installed have not been disclosed, of course. Initial installation cost of this project will be $250,000.
That's not bad.
Doesn't seem like that much.
That's not bad.
With a yearly subscription fee of up to $175,000.
Okay, so 250 startup, 175 to go.
Yeah.
But honestly, for a big city like Berkeley, $175,000 is nothing. That's a drop in the bucket.
Well, I think that's where, and the argument can be made is, it's almost like AI, right? If they can put these in place of heavier police force, where these people are making, or these cops are making 100 plus a year, probably in Berkeley. So it will be a 2-year pilot period and review. So after that review, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I hope it goes well.
Yeah.
I do. I hope it goes well. I hope there isn't some underhanded thing that comes out and that we find out they have just been data mining and racial profiling. And I hope that's not the case. I really do. Yeah.
We got a little bit of a fun event here.
Oh,
Did you hear about this?
Did you hear about this? You get a little bit of fun here. You hear about this? I like that you chose a fun one. I feel like you need to have more fun.
Well, I think it's honestly, I think if I didn't have a kid, wouldn't have probably chosen this.
Okay.
I think
so it's changed you.
I think it's more of like a family. This event specifically is more of like a family friendly event.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I mean, maybe I'm sure you would like to go to it.
I was going to say, so am I not allowed to go because I don't have a kid?
Maybe you and Johnny go together and me and Guillermo will go together and we'll see who has more fun.
Boys.
Yeah.
We'd have a good time.
But check it out. San Francisco Zoo and Garden Sunset on Fridays. It's be every Friday from 5 to 7 p.m. from July 7th to August 25th. I mean, it'd be a hell of a thing to like take the family to. Then you like go hit maybe like a later happy hour right after. Find a kid-friendly place, maybe a beer garden or something. So make a little event out of it.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know my one of my nephews loves going to the zoo. And they've done a zoo event. I think it was an Oakland Zoo, though. It was a night event in Oakland Zoo, I think.
Yeah. It was the we were just talking about that. It was like they all the lights.
Yeah, they
up.
loved it. They thought it was so much fun. They
Yeah.
had a ton of fun. And I think more events like this, especially for the zoo, public places like this, really family friendly, get people out, get people excited about something. And like you said, then you get people to a spot and then they can go out and explore either the spaces around it or use their patronage on other businesses, go to a happy hour. That sounds awesome to me.
Yeah.
I don't have kids, so I can really get loose at the happy hour.
Yeah. Get loose with your 2 drinks.
And they're going to be like 2 margaritas or like an Aperol Spritz. It's not even going to be like a Manhattan or an old fashioned or anything.
Yeah.
I don't care. I like what I like.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Nobody's judging.
Well, you kind of are. Anytime I get a drink and there's like a little bit of like a light color in it, you just laugh at
That's
me.
not even true though, because I drink those drinks all the time.
But not when we go out, because I feel like you have to prove yourself.
No, dude, I do not. I'm not like that at all. I think Sam would back me up on this. I really think Sam.
Get her
would
in
back
here,
me up.
Sam.
She's out. She's gone. But no, dude. As long as the drink sounds good and it aligns, all those flavors align. You know what I don't? Okay, here's my thing. I will say this.
Mixologist
Hold
now?
Hold on. I don't like a lot of the syrups and the sugar.
Okay.
And
Yes.
I think that you get down with that a little bit more.
No, I don't. If it's a natural sweetness, that was my nickname in high school, by the way. If it's a natural sweetness, I like. But any of the sugars or the added syrups, that's too much. It makes my tummy hurt.
Yeah. So like if the drink has like the agave versus the simple syrup.
Yes.
I'm going with the agave.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, I like the spicier drinks. I do like whiskey drinks. I'm a whiskey
you
guy.
drink a whiskey drink.
Tequila whiskey.
You drink a vodka drink.
I don't.
You
see,
drink
that's the
a
thing.
lager drink.
And I think the vodka
You
drinks.
drink a cider drink.
No.
You drink songs that remind you of the good times?
I don't even know what's going on right now.
Do you sing the songs that remind you of the better times?
I don't know. I still don't know what's going on.
Bro, Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba?
No.
Oh, what?
Sing it. Go.
I just did.
No,
I get knocked down,
Oh,
but
okay.
I get up again.
Never gonna.
There you go.
All right.
There you go.
All right. Next topic, Johnny. Go on and scroll on down. Let's get the hell off this topic. All right. What is this one? Oh, this is your topic.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
The topic that is very near and dear to my heart. This is California is finally trying to start some initiative to pay teachers more money.
Let's call it pay teachers what they're owed.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the reason this is so close to me is because the 3 generations before mine of Patulos were in education, whether it be in the administrative side, the special needs side, or just being a quote unquote normal teacher, history, government, that sort of thing. And so I've grown up with seeing what my parents do for their job, for these kids, for the community, for the future of our country, and they do not get compensated nearly enough of what they should.
Dude, you are the next Gavin Newsom. That was strong political vibes. That was awesome.
I think that's a compliment. I think most people would find that a compliment. There's some people that wouldn't, but you know what? I take it as a compliment.
It was a compliment. 100%.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right, so this proposal, which is starting in Sacramento, they're trying to revolutionize this education system here in California specifically.
Yes.
So Assembly Bill 938 seeks to increase school teacher and staff pay by 50% by 2030.
That's a big increase.
I think it's like, dude, I mean, come on. Imagine, it's hard not to, especially here in the Bay Area, to just not try and do things specifically for money. Even things that some people may not like to do. Imagine
like real estate.
yeah. Imagine watching 30 now, realistically, I feel like more 40 kid classrooms and getting paid like I don't know, maybe 60,000. I know it's all different. You know, there's a breakdown of what teachers make, but in one of the more expensive parts, let's just call like San Francisco, 100,000.
Yeah.
Which same thing in San Francisco, it's scraping by.
It's nothing.
I mean, so many people in San Francisco are still living with roommates when they're making 100,000 or 80,000 a year. So yeah, like I said, it's owed. It's time.
It is. And even further than that is what you have to think about, which is crazy. The education system is so underfunded. Many teachers across the entire state, across the entire nation, have to put their own money in for school supplies.
Wild.
So even that low number that they're getting now, subtract probably a couple thousand.
Yeah.
Just from school supplies.
I mean, even if it was a 1% of their salary.
And it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like you have to give your salary back to do your job,
Yeah.
which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, it's like we do that all the time. It's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's something that is long overdue. It's something that I personally think is necessary.
Yeah.
I mean, just looking at America as a whole to the rest of the world, hey, newsflash, we ain't doing so good as far as education goes. And that's because I think we grossly underpay our educators.
Yeah.
And there was a study that was put out because one of the things that people say against it is, well, if you pay teachers more money, it doesn't necessarily mean
They're going to do a better job.
they're going to do a better job or the scores are going to get higher. Well, they just came out with a test about a year or two ago. And in 10,000 cases, they found across the board that an increase in pay increases test scores from kids.
I mean, it's a given.
Of course it is.
Like, you can't say that money just doesn't incentivize people.
Right.
Imagine, it's like any job. If you're not making what you feel you should be making, no matter how much you love it, you're just not going to be as inclined to give that extra effort.
Yeah, as much as you and teachers more than I can't think of another group are, well, maybe like people in the church. Social workers, people in the church, that sort of thing. Teachers are so passionate about what they do.
Yeah.
Because they know that these kids' futures kind of depends on it. And one of the reasons why I did as well as I did in school, not that I did anything with it, sorry, mom and dad, but I thrived in school because I had teachers who were passionate.
Yeah.
And they instilled in me that passion to learn, to be educated, to know what I'm talking about, right? To have a fervor, a lust for life and knowledge and bettering myself all the time. And those teachers, and I can think of 3 specific teachers that come into my head who...
Call them out.
Mr. McKeon, 9th grade, English teacher. He pushed me. I love creative writing. I like using my mind and trying to expand and better my vocabulary and understanding of things.
Yeah, we know.
Mrs. Gibbs, history teacher. I love history. I firmly believe to know the future is to know your history. I'd say I'll just stick with those two. Those two, I mean, I could keep going.
No,
There's
good,
so many
good.
teachers. But that's my point, right? Is that anytime I think back of why I am or who I am today, I think of those 2 specific teachers who pushed me to be a better person and to broaden my horizons and my own boundaries to make not only my life better, but people's lives around me better.
Yeah.
And I think it's just time. We need to better the things in this country that are important. And I think education, just for humankind, not just this country, for the world, humankind, having better education systems is going to be better. And not just paying teachers more money is going to help with that. Putting more money into the education system, because of course test scores are going to get higher because the resources available to these kids are going to be better.
Yeah.
And anytime you have better resources, you get better results.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a couple outliers here and there, but overall, if you have better resources and you give kids a better opportunity, they're going to do better things with it.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. I remember having a teacher that would serve tables after school and then on the weekends. I mean, it's any time that you have to, you've gotten this degree, you put in, the time and you've dedicated your time to all these people's children, then you have to go work again after. It's just pretty ridiculous.
And that brings up a good point too, is the education that's necessary for it. It's not like in real estate where you can just do a night school, pass a test, so you can get into this job. A lot of times you have to have a bachelor's degree, and for a lot of them, you have to have a master's degree.
Yeah.
And that is not cheap. As we know, education, again, in this country is crazy expensive.
Yeah.
So now you're compounding all of that, and then you have these massive student bills that a lot of these people carry for the rest of their life because they can't pay it off.
So going to your topic of you saying them having these student loan debts and everything like that. So this bill specifically highlights that the teacher wage gap where educators earn 23.5% less than similarly educated professionals in their fields. So pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. They're underpaid. They deserve more money. I'm 100% for this.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
How are they going to get the funding for this?
I don't know.
Okay, have they announced that what it's going to be yet? Because that's one of those things where I know people don't like taxes in this country, but that's one of the things where I feel like we all should pitch in for the kids in our country and their future.
Yeah.
That is one thing I am happy to give some money back to. I really am.
Well, I feel like nobody would really oppose this, right?
Oh, you'd be surprised.
Really?
I guarantee you people are going to oppose this.
Yeah.
Yeah. There already are people saying, which is why I looked as far into it as I did, people saying, well, we don't want to pay teachers more because that doesn't mean kids are going to do better.
Yeah. So I did read that a little bit. I don't think it made it into the talking notes, but yeah, I think people did say like it doesn't necessarily mean that because, I think kind of what they're saying is like maybe they take more vacations now that they're making more money. So it's almost like that, like, okay, are we trying to just kind of like keep a bitch broke then? And what
a horrible thing. People can take more vacations because they make more money. What a horrible outcome.
Yeah.
Oh, people have a better quality of life? Oh,
yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. And I'm sure people will they'll probably say things like, well, they get summers off.
Oh, thank God they get summers off so they don't.
Freaking dude.
Yeah, because they go insane.
I mean, especially like you see some of these videos of some of these kids just being like, awfully disrespectful.
Yeah, well, kids these days,
And then, like, I mean, obviously this was happening while we were in school too.
Course.
It's not like just this generation or anything, but I couldn't imagine putting up with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm one of those people where if someone is really disrespectful to me, I go back a little bit too hard.
You throw them through a window or something?
And then, not like physical, but like I'm a little bit too mean back.
Oh yeah, you clap back hard, dude.
And then I'll be kind of like feel bad. So I can like doing that to like a kid.
And here's the problem is when you do that, everyone's going to be filming it.
Yeah.
And you are going to be blasted, dude.
Yeah. So that's why I didn't end up being a teacher.
Smart.
Yeah, no, I was never even close to being a teacher. But I think like it's incredibly for these people that have been taking on this profession, knowing the pay, knowing all the stuff about it. And then just now this is happening, right? So it's not like people are becoming teachers because they've heard about this. But it's funny because I read something the other day about how generations to come and our generations are having a lot less kids. And it's kind of like no shit because it's not affordable thing to do whatsoever. And it's the kind of the same thing, like with teachers. It's like there's I know that there's stats of less and less people becoming teachers. And it's like, why do you think? Because they're not going to go and do this profession, pay for the school when they're going to make X amount.
Yeah, that was I was going to be a teacher. That was what I wanted to do when I was in high school.
Thank God you didn't.
Are you kidding me, dude?
I don't know, dude. You probably would have been like a really annoying teacher.
I would have been.
They'd probably all be like, dude, Mr. Bertullo like swears he's hella funny.
Oh, don't say Mr. Bertullo, bro. Okay, let me tell you. It sounds like you're talking about my dad right now, too. But I took classes. There was a teaching career paths opportunity in school where I got to go teach an hour in an elementary school. And I loved it. I was all about it. And then I finally had to sit down and go, do I want to continue and be another generation of not like super thriving, right? Do I want to take a job where, as passionate as I am about it, the pay just doesn't justify so much of the work that I'm going to do? And that's where I switched. I switched careers. I switched what I wanted to do, which broke my heart. I mean, it did. I loved doing what I was doing, what I was learning and teaching those kids it was something really special. So I understand why people do it for less money because it's so gratifying and fulfilling. I loved it, but I wanted something more. And I hate that is a decision and a thought process for people who want to get into teaching. They don't do it because they want more.
Yeah.
That's heartbreaking.
Well, you can give back by teaching these kids about real estate.
I would.
Yeah.
You
should make that happen.
Well,
make that happen. What do we got here, Johnny? What is it? It's a little hard to read.
Basically what it's saying is they don't know where the money would come from, and California has a projected $2.5 billion
22.5. No, you're good. That's okay.
It's a big deficit.
Well, we're always in a fucking deficit.
Have a strong bipartisan support. They're going to have some tough decisions made in the Capitol, so they don't know where they would cut the money from.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's like,
we kind of talked about that, I think.
Yeah. I'm just saying there's
So
nowhere specific.
yeah, it's a bill, and if it passes, then they're gonna have to figure it the hell out, right? Kind of in a sense, and I'm sure teachers will start striking more and more. I mean,
Yeah. Oh, we didn't even talk about that.
yeah,
Yeah, there's been strikes because they know they're not getting paid what they're worth.
Yeah.
And I think if they have to really push the subject, as frustrating and sad as it is, I think it's deserved, right? I think this is something that we are lacking across the board on education and future. And you know, a lot of times you get a lot of people, like, for example, the people who would oppose this bill are, I feel like, the ones who would say, what the hell is happening with our country? Here is, to me, one direct influence about why you feel that things are going downhill for this country. Because we're not teaching our kids properly.
Yeah.
Like, hello. So yeah, we might have to make some sacrifices in other areas if we have to pull money out of whatever, you know, because we are in a $22.5 billion deficit, which that's nothing new.
I mean, you know, governor could throw something at that.
Yeah, just hey, government, break us off some, dude.
You did it for BART.
Yeah, you did it for BART, $5.1 billion. Do it for teachers.
Yeah.
Do it for teachers. That's I think
Next best thing, BART, teachers.
honestly, public transportation and education, two extremely important things to any society.
Yeah. Easy.
And health is the third one. We do okay.
Yeah.
Well,
We'll get there eventually.
Oh boy, that's a
Yeah.
whole other can of worms. But like, yeah, the three pillars of any functioning society are really shaky.
Yeah.
All right, well, time to do some work here, everyone.
I think that's all we got for the day.
This is a good one.
Solid episode 2.
This is a really good episode too.
Yeah. Very a little Berkeley heavy, and then I think we ended strong with the teacher topic.
Well, because anybody and everybody can understand that, especially here in the Bay Area. It still is very Bay Area centric. We have a lot of schools that are struggling, teachers that are struggling. So I think it hits here just as hard as it does anywhere else.
Yeah.
But again, the pillars we talked about, transportation, education, that's a good podcast.
Yeah.
That's a good episode.
How could you not listen to this?
How could you not listen to this?
Yeah.
You are right now, and we appreciate you.
All three of you.